What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Bryan Frizzell. Today we are filming in the historic 18th and Vine Jazz District at the Lincoln Building, home of Cascade Media Group. Today's special guest in 2013 signed a 5-year contract extension. When he has fulfilled the duties of that extension, he will have served 7 years, becoming the longest running Kansas City School District leader in over 3 decades. Sorry about that. We're happy to have him here today to talk to us a little bit about the new school board and about working with them to accomplish his goals and objectives. Welcome to What's Up, Kansas City, Mr. Stephen R. Green, Ph.D.
That's fine. Steve is fine.
Steve, how are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Right.
We're glad that we could get you here today to first off talk to us a little bit about the new school board. We understand there is a new configuration. What are your comments?
Well, I'm excited that we have a full complement. I think this will be the first time in a while since my tenure as superintendent that we've had all 9 seats filled. And I think that is an excellent opportunity to have a good dialogue and exchange and have perspectives from different parts of the community as we weigh in and make decisions going forward. So yes, there are new members that were added. Dr. Amy Harsfeld, Mrs. Melissa Robinson, and also Ms. Patty Manser, who've been added, and that fills out the full complement of 9 seats. We have more representation of women on the board. I think that's a compliment, and so it gives us that kind of balance of gender and also ethnicity across the board. And so I'm excited about moving to the next level, what the next level will look like.
Mr. Green, we talk about Melissa Robinson being added to the sub-district number 4. Mm-hmm. We know that previously Mr. Joseph Jackson occupied that seat, which Melissa now was elected to serve in. Will that change in the group dynamic at all, affect the way the school board works?
I don't think much. I think I've had a chance to speak with Mrs. Robinson one early in her campaign. We had a very good conversation about community engagement and community organizations. I think it's a keen interest that she has, and I'm all about that. I love engaging with the community, hearing their voice, hearing what perspectives they have as we try to make decisions, etc. And so I think I feel very comfortable with that change right now. It's part of the democratic process. When you have elections and campaigns and people compete, and she prevailed, and so my position is I'll work with whoever emerges from that, and that's my preference, and that's my responsibility.
And Mr. West, Eric West, is still the school board president?
That's not the case right now, no. But Mr. Heil is now the chairman of the school board, and so there's been a change in leadership there. Had a wonderful working relationship with Mr. West. Still will continue that because he will still be on the board.
He's still on the board, okay.
Right, but we did have election of officers, and Mr. Heil is the chairman, and Mr. Curtis Rogers is the vice chair. And I'll be working very closely with both of them, as I worked with Mr. West and Mr. Rea before.
Mr. Green, there are some real challenges on the horizon for the Kansas City Public School District. How will you as superintendent respond to those challenges?
Well, the biggest challenge, if you're talking about accreditation, I feel very confident that we are moving in the right direction, and we will reach that milestone and get back on track the way this organization, this school district should be. Last year, as you well know, we made a quantum leap in that direction, moving from 19.6 points, percentage points, to 60. It only takes 50 to read provisional accreditation. We were 10 percentage points over that amount. And so and that's why we went down to Jefferson City to make our case for why our classification should be changed. Because no, I don't think there's a district in this country that has made that kind of dramatic leap. If you're talking about 140 points and you're in 27.5 points and you go to 84 points, or if you're dealing with percentages, you're at 19.6% and you go to 60%. I think that's turnaround. That's what, if you're talking about turning around an organization and moving things in the right direction around student achievement, that's what we exhibited. But we're primed and poised to even go beyond that this year. The testing window opens next week, and our students are quite prepared and ready. I don't think they will be surprised by anything because the instruction has been designed in such a way so that it speaks to what they're going to be asked to do on the assessment, and we are very confident, given the predictions that we have in place right now, that we'll go beyond the 60% or the 84% and will be eligible for full accreditation. That's within 2 years we will have made that kind of turnaround. We're still working in areas where we struggle. We still need to ratchet up where our students are in terms of their proficiency level. Many of our students still come to us behind, and we wind up trying to remediate and catch them up in terms of being on grade level and having proficiency that's either at proficiency level or advanced proficiency level, not at below basic or basic. We want them proficient or advanced. And so as we drop the below basic and increase the proficient and above, and that whole piece is still an area where we're going to need to do a lot of work.
I know I talked to Mr. West, and he said specifically that the school board needed to concentrate. He was going to concentrate on the scholars. That kind of sounds like what the information you're relaying to me above proficiency. I mentioned earlier that the Kansas City Star reporter talked about you extending your contract in 2013. Can you first off tell us what is the annual performance, the district scores on the annual performance report? What is that? And how important is it for you to increase your scores during your tenure with the school district?
Well, I think that's my primary charge, because that annual performance report that the state designs is really a reflection of how students are doing and improving. And if I'm the chief academic officer and responsible for that, then their performance is tied to my performance, and my performance is tied to their performance. So in a lot of ways, the board has charged me with increasing student achievement. That is our number one goal. And I'm committed to doing that, because I know that our scholars and students can do that. What they haven't had, our scholars have not had, is in some ways a system that allows both the students and the parents and the instructors to monitor and measure that performance, just like you would your heart rate, or just like you would any other your kind of biometrics, to measure and monitor over the course of the year, and then if something's out of whack, to intervene and either support or change direction, or in some way provide assistance that would continue that progress and not let that progress be interrupted. And so in that regard, I think we have built the systems and put those in place. We know where our students are, we know where they struggle, we know when they struggle, and we're able to move in, not wait till the end of the year. That's, I think, the past practice may have been to, let's see how students do at the end of the year. Well, I'm saying, why not? Why wouldn't we know at the end of a week? Why wouldn't we know at the end of a month? Where if a student is veered off course,
Very timely.
and make the intervention right then, and get the student back on track.
I would like to talk to you about teachers. I was talking to a friend earlier, and they were telling me their specific skill set was not learned in school, it was learned on the job. Mm-hmm. What kind of support system do you have for new teachers coming in to increase their ability to absorb and teach the material to the students? Yeah,
we'd like to talk about two things with our instructional workforce: will and skill. If the teachers have the will, we then can work with them on enhancing their skill, whether that's in the area of classroom management, whether that's in the area of their content knowledge. We have the professional development. Now, we could always do better, but I think we're well along that way. We have a good complement of research-based, proven what works with students, particularly working with urban students. I think we have a pretty good assortment of professional development opportunities and experiences and support that we can provide to teachers. If they have the will and they just need help with the skill. The will part of it is something we cannot, if they don't have it, they don't have it in here, then that's a problem, because we can't manufacture that. And so, in essence, if our teachers have the desire and the will to
two-way
improve
street.
and get better, we have an assortment of things that we can customize the professional development they need to get to that next level. We're still working to refine the evaluation system to make sure, again, it's kind of a monitoring, measuring system. How do we know, how do we keep constant feedback going between teachers and administrators on what teachers need, how they're doing, and as they engage with students using a variety of learning style methods, using a variety of instructional style methods, and building those into their instructional practice, and extending learning rather than just treadmilling the learning. That's the kind of expectation that we have, and if teachers respond to that, then they will do well in this school district.
So a teacher will not get disciplined if they are willing to, say, correct their I don't want to say mistake, but do remedial learning, work on their skill set,
Right.
and be able to reach out and educate the children. I'd like to ask you, Mr. Green, about increasing the enrollment. We know it's not as easy as going around knocking on doors. Do you have any plan in place?
Well, part of the plan, yes, we do, and as you've probably seen, our efforts to market ourselves more aggressively and earlier in the school year. A lot of the other schools, private schools and charter schools, get out early really at the end of the calendar year in December, and sometimes in January they're out, and we were out as early this year. Not only two areas: one, recruitment of talent, staff, and also in the area of attracting students. So we're out in the market earlier. We think we have a competitive message to send forward. A lot of people don't know that we outperform many of the charter schools here in the community. Yes, they're the ones, the Academy Lafayette's and the University Academies are doing well, but other charter schools, we outperformed in a lot of different areas. So we are getting that message out. If that's what it's about, but at the end of the day, parents have the opportunity to choose which way they would like to go. Our kind of boutique offering, if you will, of signature schools, we're out with that, whether that's Montessori, Holiday, and Border Star, whether that's Foreign Language Academy. I think those schools compete, and many of our other schools compete with any of the other schools that are out there, with their test scores and with their overall educational experience that they offer for children beyond just test score performance, just the enrichment curriculum that we have. So we're out to promote really what our assets are, knowing that we're still unaccredited right now, and that'll be a big piece once we get beyond that, which we think we've earned it. It's just a matter of the designation catching up to the metrics that we already have in place and have shown. Then we think that we will be in a very good position to start to attract more families back with our Hale Cook initiative, with the things that we're doing there, with our early childhood education experience. Woodland just opened last fall, 283 and 4-year-olds. We hope many of those students stay with us because we've given them a good education before they even started in the K-12 experience. We're going to take Richardson. Richardson in this fall will open as a new early childhood learning center. Again, we're providing Head Start, early childhood learning, and it's being done by the Kansas City Public Schools. We think that serves as an early kind of introduction to who we are and what we're about, and we hope many of those families matriculate right into the Kansas City Public Schools. So we're looking at kind of recruitment from several different angles.
Last summer, the Kansas City Star reported that the Kansas City School District, if not reaccredited by June of this year, June 2014, would face possible state takeover. I've heard conflicting reports since then. Is this not true, Mr. Green?
Well, I think I guess the state has the authority to do whatever it chooses to do. I think it would be very difficult given our performance over the last 2 years, and given the performance that we expect to show forth this coming year, and the scores will be known in August when they come out. I think you would see a profile and a snapshot of a school district that is constantly improving, continuous improvement, and making significant progress, not just incremental steps, but gigantic progress. I think that would be a difficult proposition to take over a district that is making that kind of improvement. And so I think the body of work will speak for itself in terms of whether that would be wise or not. And we will continue. We've had, whether you look at us, 3 different angles in which the school district is examined. 1, in terms of its academic performance. 2, in terms of its financial stability. 3, in terms of its management of its assets, i.e. its operations. Operationally, financially, academically, we're on the rise, have been improving, and will continue that progress. And we just hope we're allowed to do that without interruption or further distraction of the threat of takeover becomes a distraction. Yet we've stayed focused and on our game, even with those distractions put before us. I think a lot of people are waiting to see how we do this year. And what's been said is if we do as well or better than we did last year, then we would be granted at least provisional accreditation. Our pitch is and our desire is that we will be a candidate for full accreditation this coming year. We're just asking to be designated with what we've earned. Right now we're in a split situation. We earned enough points well beyond. If 70 points is for provisional accreditation and we have 84, we've earned provisional accreditation.
And you have earned 84.
But we're considered, yes, that's what we earned last year. But we are still unaccredited. So that there's a disparity between what we earned and what our classification is. You got to go be over 98 points to be in the class, at 98 or higher number of points to be in full accreditation. We think we're going to be in that area this year. So, but it may be that we get provisional accreditation when we should, when we've earned full. We're just asking for there to be a direct alignment. Here's what we earned, here's what our classification is.
We are conscious that definitely is a gainer for us. I have a question for you. We talked about your objectives, we talked about your goals. What is the number 1 challenge?
Well, the number 1 challenge right now is the political environment that we're in right now. I think we're on the kind of the other side of that now, but for over the last 3 months, particularly when the legislature's in session, there's a lot of talk about transfer. There's a lot of talk about state takeover. There's a lot of talk what to do about unaccredited school districts. And we don't even really consider ourselves unaccredited, but that's what we've been, there are 3 unaccredited school districts in Normandy, Riverview Gardens, and Kansas City Public Schools, even though our points don't say that that's where we should be, but we're caught up in that dynamic around the intersection of unaccredited school districts and that was a designation we were given 2.5 years ago, and the transfer law, which is 22 years old. The intersection of those 2 things makes us exposed to families leaving, us having to pay for families who choose to leave to go to another district, and they even pay the transportation for one of the districts, etc. Those present challenging circumstances for the Kansas City Public Schools in its effort to be stable. What this community called for was stability, which is what I'm trying to instill. So that works against stability if you have, the transfer law and the unaccredited status hanging over us, no matter how many points we've earned. Those things challenge our efforts to try to continue to improve and become more of an asset to the community than a liability. So those kinds of things those are political. Those are not educational components, but in the face of that, I want to just have a shout out to our scholars, shout out to our teachers, shout out to our administrators, and to my cabinet administrative team. In the face of all that, we have continued to climb and prevail in the face of a lot of the different challenges that lie before us.
We usually don't do shout-outs, but for you, Dr. Green, we'll certainly make an exception. You mentioned Richardson Early Childhood Education. What other upcoming projects are you working on?
Well, middle schools. We're going to return to middle schools. 2 new middle schools will open this fall for the Kansas City Public Schools. Remember, the configuration we've had up to date is our middle schoolers are in the high school. We're 7 through 12 in our high schools.
Like Lincoln Prep
all of our high
Junior,
schools have 7th and 8th graders in the high school, whether Central, Northeast, SWEC, whether it's East, high school.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, right. They're in a 7 through 12 configuration. We just don't think that is the best or the optimal situation, particularly for 7th and 8th graders, being in the same facility, almost on the same schedule as far as class periods with 11th and 12th graders. We just think it creates all kinds of challenges. Our biggest challenge academically are our 7th and 8th graders. We think that part of it is because they're not the type of learning environment they have is not conducive to where they are developmentally. And so that with that regard, we will return, start that process this fall with Northeast Middle will open, and also Central Middle will open, and we will have the current 6th graders will graduate as 7th graders into that facility. Then the next year, the current 5th graders, which will be 7th graders a year from now, will as they graduate, they will graduate into that school. We have 7th and 8th graders in our middle schools. In that environment.
All right.
So the new initiatives will be the 2 middle schools. Hale Cook will open,
Okay.
and also the other new initiative will be Early Childhood Learning Center. The second Early Childhood Learning Center will be at 35th and Park, where Richardson is.
I certainly want to keep up to breast on those particular innovative objectives. Any final words?
Just that we're a district on the climb. We expect great things from our scholars, and we think they're going to continue to do well. We've expanded our what we call our dual degree program, and so we will have 18 scholars who will graduate with both their high school diploma and their associate's degree at the same time. I don't know if anybody, did you graduate with your associate's degree and your high school diploma at the same time?
No, I did not.
I
sir.
did not either.
And I was amazed when I heard President Obama at CMSU talk about that being an initiative.
Right.
I'm glad it's made its way to Kansas City.
Right. We all have. I think we had 14 last year, and this time we'll have 18 young scholars who will graduate with their associate's degree and their high school diploma. They'll go to 2 graduations, and I'll be at both of them. One where they get their high school diploma, and then another one where they'll get their associate's degree.
Watch out now. What's up, Kansas City? You heard it from Dr. Green himself. I'm Glenn Bryan Frizzell. Check out more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky is truly the limit. Aim high. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, at the very least, you would have landed among the stars. Thank you, guys. Take care until next time.
CMG wants you to always remember, the victory we call success goes to the best prepared. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself.